Hi Chewies, here's Alexandra and welcome to my next painting tutorial. This time we will be painting this little fella out of the Age of Sigmar starter box. And as you can see, he is glued together, and I've scraped off all the mold lines. And first thing we will do is mount him on our miniature holder. This is just an old paint pot with some sticky tack on it, or blue tack, or poster tack, or how you want to call it. Press it on, and then you have a nice way to hold your miniature. So then we are going to prime this miniature. For this I use a colored spray primer from Army Painter, in this case human flesh, and well, I'll be back when he's primed and dry. So there I'm back, and as you can see, he's nicely primed and dry. And now the first order of things is to figure out in what order we want to paint him. Very important, with a miniature like this with so much detail on it, it is quite important to start the painting in the order from inside out. What that means is you start painting the things that are most obscured by other stuff on top of it. For example, I would first paint here the leather stripes around him, because the hair is going over it, and the lowest layer is the skin, but with the primer we have already blocked the skin out, so we don't have to tackle that right now. So I would say yes, we go for the leather straps at first, and we are going to paint them with Rhinox hide. It's a Citadel base paint, but you can also, of course, use any other brown tone you have at hand. Maybe you have an older Citadel range, dark flesh would work, or bestial brown, or for example Mournfang brown, or if you have Vallejo colors, for example Vallejo color smoke, or maybe what do we have here? It's a brown tone. Oops, sorry. This here, for example, is cracked brown. But like I said, I would say I would use Rhinox hide. So as a brush, I will use just a big old base coat brush, and we will simply start painting all the leather stripes, just like that. Don't worry if you paint here and there over the lines. That's totally okay, because we are first blocking out all the major colors, and well, we will paint over the other parts anyways, so don't worry. Don't worry, be happy. So this is actually quite easy. So if the paint on your palette is going too thick, or you have not much control over it, just add a little bit of water to your paint to increase the flow. Also, if you have it, you could add, instead of water, Lamian medium to the paint, but I usually do that if I make complicated painting stuff like wet blending or something like that. So like I said, just paint in all the leather parts. I will finish that up real quickly and be right back. Okie dokie. There you have it, all the leather parts are painted now, and the next step will be blocking out the rest of the colors. So let's quickly run through the colors I will be using. So the trousers and all the skull parts of this miniature I will paint in Baneblade brown, or if you don't have it, you can also use Vallejo stone gray. So then all the armor parts that will be red, like for example the breastplate here, this shoulder plate, the arm stuff, some parts of the helmet, they will be painted in red. So I will be using Khorne red for that. Then here and there a little bit black parts. I will obviously use Chaos Black for that, or Abaddon Black if you have that. Whatever black you prefer to use. So, yeah, what else? Then the metal parts, this bronze color, I will paint in, oops, sorry, in Warblock Bronze, or bronze, as a primer for that. So, then here's some metal parts, obviously in silver. I will use here Runefang steel for that, or chainmail, whatever you have. And yeah, I'll be back in a second. Okay, Tubies, here we have him now in the dry state after the wash. And very important, one thing to note, when you let him dry with the wash on it, you should look after him after about 1 or 2 minutes, because the wash has a tendency to go down with the gravity, of course, but sometimes there are big pools of wash. For example, here you can see a little stain left. There was a very big pool here around this area. If you don't get rid of that with a brush, you simply take up that. If that will dry, it will obscure detail, and very important to remove that before continuing letting him dry. So this is now the stage where he is so-called battle ready, because he is completely painted, but of course I don't want to stop right here. We will now go and highlight him. In order to highlight a miniature, like I said before, we work from the inside out. So the lowest part of the miniature is obviously the skin, and we start with the skin with the Cadian flesh tone. With that, just pick some on a palette and add a little bit of water to it. Whoops. There we go. Clean up the brush. And when you clean up the brush, then you don't rub like that to get rid of the water. You place the brush flat down and you rotate it while you're dragging it. So this way you get a nice tip, and also you get rid of excess water on your brush, because nothing is more frustrating as when you're painting and all of a sudden a blob of water hits your brush tip and flood your miniature with water. So grab a little bit of the paint and then we start to apply the paint to the upper areas of the skin. Just like that. And we leave the shadowy recesses behind. So we get a nice transition in the colors. So there's a little hole left over from the little bridge, the how it is called, the sprue. There, that was the word I was looking for. If you have something like that, just take a bigger blob of color and fill the hole with it, just like that. So So, like I said before, this is also the stage where we correct painting mistakes. For example, here I've painted over the parts where the leather straps should be, so I'm just painting over it. Just like that. So this arm piece here where the sword is attached, we will give that a little bit more attention in a second. So this is the disadvantage, is having a cat. Sometimes little hairs are floating around and hitting your brush. You should always get rid of them as soon as possible. Not the cat, only the hair on the bristles. It's always good to have a cat. So, yeah, that was the first layer. Okie doke. So now we will go to highlight this. At this stage I will add a little bit of Vallejo Game Color Rosy Flash. Yeah. And start highlighting again. And always remember, the color looks brighter while it is still wet, so it will darken down when it dries, so always keep that in mind. Over the time you will know the nuance changes in wet and dry colors. So, yeah, that looks good. And now for some final highlights, we take pure Rosy Flash. And there we're picking up just the high spots. And there we go. The skin is done now. So, be right back. Okie dokie tubies. There we have him now with all the colors, the main colors blocked out. So at this stage it doesn't matter if you have painted here and there over the lines. For example, there at the skull I have hit a little bit of black, and here and there are also some tiny mistakes. That doesn't matter, because we will shade him now, and after that we will highlight him, and in this following stages all the errors will be exterminated. So we will now give him a shade with Arkrux Earthshade. So take a bigger brush and then make sure you hit all the cracks and crevices, all the little holes and bubbles of the miniature. Yeah, we will wash the entire miniature with that. Don't be shy with the application. We want to have pools forming up in the recesses, and sorry for the background noise. Well, my window is wide open. It's summer out here, and it's really warm, and well, without the window open I would be fried in here. Dum-de-dum-de-dum. Just with this little step we give this whole miniature a lot more three-dimensional appearance than before. Also the whip. Okie dokie. There's little branches down here. So, there we go. We leave that to dry now, and I'll be back in a second. So Chewies, let's continue with the painting. We will now paint the trousers, and for that we will use Vallejo model color Stone Grey. And we will darken that a tiny little bit with what would fit that? Yeah, a tiny little bit of XV88. Just a tiny bit. Yeah, that's okay. So, a little drop of water to increase the flow. So, and then we will, like with the skin, apply the color and leave the recesses in the shade color. Yeah, that's good. And the noise in the background, there are some kids playing outside with a ball, so I hope that doesn't disturb the video too much. I hope the video is consistently sharp. Sometimes cameras tend to focus then on the background. That was the reason why I had this brown background in the past. But hopefully this will work out here. Okay. So, that looks good. Now we will add a little bit brighter color to the mix. Just some white. Here. White scar. That's not enough. Yeah, that looks good. Okie doke. Remember, the color will be darker when it is dried. So if you have too much color on the brush, just adjust it on a paper towel. That's the reason why that is as my background here, or my table ground. I see some painters use their hand side here to paint on it. Honestly, I would never do that, or paint on the nail. No. That is not good. Always use a paper towel. Also, when you highlight here, make sure you leave a little bit of the stone gray behind, so we get a color transition. If you would cover the entire thing, then the first step would be useless. So here is this curved surface, and here's a little bit hard to get a even coat, but well, with a little bit fiddling around you can find a solution for that. Okie doke. See, it is now a lot darker here, so I can go over it a second time to make it even brighter. And I think the trousers look okay now. So, this little stitches, we can go over that also quickly, barely touching. Just like that. Okay, so with the same color we will go quickly over the skulls now, all the bone parts. see that good. So there's another one. Okay. And now we will add a little bit more white to the paint, so the skulls will look a little bit more determined from the trousers. For the upper highlights. You don't need to paint now the whole skull, just the upper areas. And that way we have a nice highlight. So, and also in order to keep a steady hand while painting, place your hands definitely on the ground of the table. So if you're floating around with your miniature in your hand, you have a very shaky hand, and that's not good. So always hands on the ground. If you want to stabilize even more, then you can interlock your hands. So for example, keep your pinky on your other hand or on the miniature holder, so that the shakes of the hand are both at the same time, and so overall the shake is not carried on onto the miniature, if you know what I mean. So there we have a little red that is not belonging there. So we'll cover that up. There we go. Okay. I think that's fine. So, be right back for the next part. Okay, for the next part we want to make this stump here where the sword is attached a little bit more rotten. So we take a little bit purple and add water to it, so effectively making this a wash. Adjust the amount, and now we go over it barely, just to shade it a little bit. So you might have to do this 2 or 3 times. Let this completely dry and going over it again. So be right back when this is dry. Okay, the first layer of the purple wash is dry, and we go over it a second time. And there you go. It looks like a little bit more rotten. Okie dokie. Okay, my fellow tubies, now it's time to switch the brush. I will use now a type 0 brush. And what we are going to do now is to highlight the red parts. First with Mephiston red. We don't need much. Also a tiny little bit of water. So, there we go. We are painting the red before the gold because, well, like I said before, from the inside to the outside, and the red is more inside the miniature than the gold part. Because it is quite hard to avoid hitting the gold parts, and when we paint them afterwards it's much easier to fix things. Like here. There I've made a tiny little stroke, but that's okay, because we will paint over it anyways. Also, if you can't hit a spot on your miniature quite properly, well, our handle is quite handy for that. Sorry for the pun. You can always switch the direction of the miniature while painting, and that's important. Sometimes it's hard to reach a spot, and so you simply have to turn the miniature, sometimes even upside down. Hold the miniature always the way that is easiest to paint for you. At a certain part of the miniature. There we go. Then here the gloves. And as a little tip, if you're an older painter like me, for example, if you're hitting the age of 30 or more, and you can't see the details so good anymore, then you should consider consider taking up glasses. Well, I tried to avoid that for quite some time now, but unfortunately, well, it is much better now. The miracle of the glasses. Okay, and now we will hit the miniature with Evil Sun's Scarlet. Also some water in it. So with brushes like that here, try to avoid getting paint down here, because that will damage the bristles overall. Paint will dry up in this part, and then all of a sudden the bristles will start to break apart, and that's not what we want. So always pick up the color maybe to half of the brush. Why I have switched the brush size right now is because, well, here are now finer details to paint, and it is better to have then a fine detail brush for that purpose. But overall it is normally better to paint with a bigger brush than with a smaller, because, well, a bigger brush doesn't mean you only can paint big surfaces. Also, bigger brushes have quite fine tips, but they have the advantage that they hold much more paint than a smaller brush. While in the smaller brush the paint will sometimes dry out directly on the tip, like here. Sometimes there are little clogs then forming up at the tip of the brush, and that's not what you want. So if you can avoid it, use bigger brushes. Only for the fine details, use small brushes. Okay, I'm satisfied with the red now. Yep, that looks good. So, and then the next step, we will paint the gold. Okay, there I'm back, and now we paint the gold parts. Well, in order to paint gold, it's a quite tricky color because it doesn't cover very well. And in order to make it cover good, we have painted it with a base coat of Warplock Bronze, or if you have it, the old tin bits would also do the trick. And what I have here, this is my own mixture of a mid-tone gold. This is a mixture out of shining gold, auric armor gold, and a little bit of Warplock Bronze. That gives us a nice rich gold tone that is also good in the coverage. Here you can see now the difference between the gold tones. You see this is a lot darker, but has a much better coverage ability. If you don't have the option to get shining gold for this mixture, that's totally okay. You can also use other gold colors. Oh, my card is at the maximum, so I have to stop here and be right back. Okay, there I'm back. Sorry for that cut, but my SD card was full out of a sudden. But now I have 2 hours and 30 minutes left on my card. So, where was I? Talking about the mixture here. If you don't have the shining gold, then of course you can use a different kind of gold. I mixed those two gold tones together because they have both some nice advantages about them, nice rich tones, and so I have a nice mixture of both. So, but I will now use my mid-tone here that I've pre-mixed, and we will start to apply that. And in the background you hear my cat. Yes. She wants to have something. So we will start applying that here all over the gold parts. There's one important thing I have forgotten. My glasses. So, much better now. Ja, Lilly, ist gut. Ja, du kriegst ja gleich was. Well, you hear the demanding meows in the background. I think I have to stop here and give her something. Otherwise, she will endanger the whole painting experience here. Okay, you see where this is going. I will feed my cat now and be right back in a second. Okie dokie, the cat is happy again, and here we see now all the gold parts have been painted with our mixture of gold and how is it called? Warblock bronze. So, and now we will highlight the gold with straight auric armor gold. Don't forget to give it a good shake previously, otherwise you have quite separated golden color with this white stuff in it, and you don't want that. So here we are going for the upper parts, leaving a little bit of the dark color behind. We want to have like really nice reflections here on the gold, and we will achieve that with sticking to some areas. The highlighting process gets faster and faster every time you highlight because, well, let's face it, the areas we are highlighting are getting smaller and smaller every time. So, okay, and now we will go for some silver. Runefang steel. Here you see the separation of the paint, what I meant with the gold previously. If we open that up now, you will end up with something like that, and you can't really paint with that, so give it a good shake. This is also a thing that happens very often with Vallejo colors, even the non-metallic ones, and well, keep an eye out for that. So, and we will mix in some silver to the gold here. There we go. And with that, we will go now for some really high points in the gold. To give it some really nice, shiny, reflective spots. Like, for example, here are little dents in the gold. This is what we're aiming for. So, and just like that, we have it nice and shiny. And now for the really high parts, we go for a pure Runefang steel. There, there. Just a little bit. Okay, I think that's enough. Now we have a nice shiny gold. Okie doke. Be right back for painting now the leather. So, last but not least, we will finally paint the leather parts, and for that we take our ground color and our highlight color here, Mornfang Brown and Rhinox Hide. So, I'll start with that on the palette. Then also some brown. the Monfang brown. Yeah, I think that's a good color. That's a really good color. So, and with that we will go straight into the brown areas here on the boots and the leather straps. Right now the determination between those two colors is not that high, but we will get there. See, when you go very slightly over something like that, you will pick out all the details. This is so-called an overbrush or wet brushing. Kind of similar to dry brushing, but with more, a little bit more control over it. All the time you will notice and learn how to do that properly. So, then here the band at the arm. Yeah, there we go. And now here at the back. Just a few little strokes. Also here the whip. There we go. Also, don't forget the other side. Okay. Now we add more of the Monfang brown. I guess that was a little bit too much, but hey, never mind. Just take it straight like that. Yeah, we are almost done. Only a few details left. So with the browns here, we can go a little bit more subtle, so I think that's it for the highlights with the browns. We don't need to over highlight the brown areas. Yeah, that's probably enough. Okay. Then what else do we have to do? Highlight the hair. This we will also do quite quickly. We take some Ashen Gray for that. So, and with that, we'll only pick out some of the hairs. Then go over the ponytail here. You don't want to do that too much, because otherwise the whole hair will look gray instead of black. Yep, that's probably okay. And then we will add a tiny little bit of white to brighten up the gray for the final highlights on the hair. Yeah, that's okay. Here a little bit. There a little bit. And voila, I think that's already enough for highlighting the hair. Also here at the glove we can use the same grays. First the Ashen Gray. Just like that. And on top, brighter gray. Ta-da! Okay, that's also done. What else is left to do? Let's have a look. Yeah, I think it's up to a final little wash and then we're done. So, I think the skull areas could need another wash, but this time a thinner wash. We use Reichland Flesh Shade. Add a little bit to the palette. Yeah. And then we will add a big amount of water. Maybe 2 big drops. Okay. Just like that. So, and with that, we'll go over these areas again. That's too watery. Maybe add another one of them. So, there we go. Well, we could go over the skin also with that again to soften the transitions. Okay. There we go. Now only thing left to do is paint the base, but that I will do off camera. I have done that quite a lot in my tutorials, so no need for that. And well, we see us when he's finally completely finished. Be right back. Okay, my little tubies, here we have him now in his full glory. As you can see, I added some grass tufts also to the base to give him a little bit more contrast to the red. I think that rounds up this big base quite nicely. Also, I've added to the tip of his arm weapon here a little bit of blood for the blood god. This is a nice blood effect, technical paint. I really like it. And yeah, that was the painting tutorial for the Bloodstoker from the Age of Sigmar core set. And yeah, I hope you had fun watching this video. I hope you learned something. And if you want to support my my channel and make sure that new tutorials are coming out, then maybe you should consider becoming a Patreon. The link to my Patreon page is down there in the video description. And well, I have almost 800 videos now, so you have quite a big library of tutorials to choose from. Maybe you consider watching some of those. If you want to know how to paint the Stormcast Eternals, well, I don't have a model quite yet, but to paint a gold and blue model, well, you should consider having a look at my Celestial Lion painting tutorial. This is a Space Marine tutorial, but, well, there I cover how to paint gold and blue. So, I hope you like this, and we see us in the next video. You're Alexandra.